your reaction to this?
You know, sometimes things happen that you just can't explain.
Yep.
There are tragedies that happen out in real life that are just unspeakable, that we don't talk about because we're a sports show. So this was just a basketball tragedy, but it was a tragedy nonetheless in that context. And as you know, you played a very violent game called football, but basketball injuries, it's supposed to be a non-contact game, they're so freakish and ultimately so inexplicable. So here's Jusuf Nurkic having arguably the greatest game of his career. 32 points, 16 rebounds, 5 assists, and 4 blocks. That'll work.
Yes.
He is playing for the surprise team of the Western Conference, to me, the biggest surprise, against the biggest surprise from the Eastern Conference, Brooklyn.
Yep.
They are in a second overtime in Portland, and he goes up for another, he already had 16, he goes up for a routine rebound, and he comes down on somebody's foot, and his ankle turns, but worse, everything breaks in his lower leg.
Yep.
His tibia breaks. His fibula breaks. Compound fractures, bones sticking through skin, both bones sticking through skin. Teammates and opponents are running away from it in horror because you just don't see that every day.
Right.
So we saw it with Paul George playing for Team USA in a scrimmage in Las Vegas. And obviously, we saw it with Gordon Hayward on opening night.
Yep, last year.
Against LeBron's team in Cleveland. How do you explain it? I can't. We saw Kyrie fracture his kneecap in overtime of Game 1 of the NBA Finals and completely changed that series. So, obviously, I feel sorriest for Nurkic. But I got to say this. I also feel sorry for Damian Lillard because before your very eyes this year, he's grown up to me. Every time he speaks after a game, I'm on the edge of my seat. He's profound. He's insightful. He's so mature in his vision. And he just said a couple of weeks ago, he pledged allegiance to Portland.
Yes.
Remember this?
Yes.
He's the one superstar in the NBA who said, you know what? I don't want to go unite with other superstars. I just want to stay home. I want to do it here. So he had this team at 46-27. That's pretty good. They're just one game out of the 3rd seed behind Houston. They'd won 4 straight. They'd won 7 of 10. They were quietly, after the additions of Enes Kanter and Rodney Hood around the trade deadline, they were quietly becoming some like off-the-radar threat in the West.
Right.
I like this team, but I liked it a lot more when it had C.J. McConnell, who just hurt his knee. I'm sorry, McCollum, sorry, who hurt his knee. And when he hurt his knee, I was watching the game live, I thought he was done. And they say it's just a sprain, but he's been gone now for 4 games. And so this leaves Damian Lillard where? I don't know. I don't even know if they can make the playoffs now because this is going to tailspin the wrong direction.
They might make it, Skip, but
maybe.
They won't be. I don't believe they'll be holding on to the 4th seed because it's so congested.
They flamed out
last
year ago in the first round, thanks to
3-6 matchup, the Pelicans.
Yeah, but in this case, I feel for Damian because he deserved better. And LeBron James 2 days ago talked about the basketball gods, and I do believe they're basketball gods. And somehow they just didn't like this Portland team because that's all I can explain it by is you gods, you wanted this, I guess, or you didn't want it.
Skip, I was watching the game, and they were in overtime, and I think Portland was up by like 4 or 5 points, and it was like 30-something seconds left, and I was like, okay, they're going to win this game. And then I woke up in the middle of the night, and I'm looking like Nurkic breaks his leg. I'm like, how did he break his leg in the last 24 seconds? And then as I started reading, it went into double overtime, and that's what had happened. Skip, how many times do you think Nurkic has jumped in the air in his career, in his life? Let that sink in. I mean, he's 24 years of age.
24 years.
So he's probably been playing basketball since he's been 10, 12, 15 years of age. So for the past decade, he's jumped up and down, up and down, up and down.
That's what he does.
And this is the thing that you said about football players. Yeah, we've seen guys, they step funny and they tear an ACL. We saw that with Jimmy Garoppolo. We saw it with Jordy Nelson. We see guys have non-contact injuries. We do. And it's normally patella. It might be an Achilles. It might be an ACL. But we don't see compound fractures.
Not that often.
I mean, normally you see that somebody hits you high, hits you low, or they make contact with the leg.
Yeah.
Nobody, I mean, he just stepped on someone's ankle. We've seen guys okay, maybe roll your ankle. We seen LeBron step on someone's ankle, tie his shoe up, and then he's back at it.
I don't know how he does it.
We see Lonzo Ball steps on someone's ankle, and he's gone for the rest of the year.
But he didn't fracture it, to my knowledge.
But this, it was just so freaky. But for me, I didn't think there were going to be a serious contender in the West. I think there's there's 1.5 teams that can challenge Golden State. I think it's the Rockets, and I think it's Denver. If Denver can get hot, because they can shoot the three as well as anybody. But James Harden single-handedly can keep Houston close to them, Golden State. So I really never thought. And for me, the right matchup, if they were to get the Clippers, and Nurkic was there, C.J. McCollum's healthy, could they get by the Clippers? Yes. But they mess around and get the wrong matchup, and they're gone again in the first round. And that's what I was afraid that was going to happen, Skip. This is really sad. And to think, the guy's 24 years old, and a lot of people don't know this, Skip. The Denver Nuggets had both of him and Jokic.
They did.
And they said, we got to trade them because they both do the same thing. And one guy is 20-10 and 6 or 7, and the other guy is 15-10 and 5. So it just lets you know how skilled they are. And, Nurkic from Bosnia, Jokic is Serbia, we don't have to get into all of that. But Skip, he was having his best year statistically. Let him forget the game.
Yeah.
He's a 7-foot big guy that can score, can rebound, and he can pass out of the post. They run pick and roll basically all day with him and C.J. McCollum and Dame Lillard. That's basically their offense. He gets a little piece of them. Dame's either going to pull up, C.J.'s going to get halfway to the basket, or he's going to roll and he's going to get an easy bucket. That's what they are. So,
you know what? I like this team more than you like it. I thought it had a chance. Listen, I'm not sold on Golden State.
Okay.
It keeps losing monumentally at home, and it's like one bad sign after another. They're the best team, maybe by far, unless they're the most troubled team.
But we've seen that. We see the Grizzlies beat the Rockets. We see Denver go to Indiana and lose by 40. I don't know what's going on lately.
I normally saw Oklahoma City just stink it up at Memphis last night.
And you and I get it. It's where everybody's waiting for the playoffs. Well, I don't want to be losing by 30 and 40 points, getting ready to go to the playoffs. But Skip, this is sad.
Yeah.
I mean, to see a guy go up and do something that he's done so many other times, and remember, it's over.
Steph's little brother is coming into his own. He scored 20 last night off the bench for them. Yeah. So all of a sudden, if you add Cantor and Rodney Hood, I'm so Hood from last year.
Oh, he finally showed up, huh?
He's starting to show up. But I started to like their makeup.
Yeah.
And I've become I haven't been a Dame fan until this year. I loved what he said about Portland, and I love how he's just taken ownership of this team now.
Well, I've noticed a big change in Dame Lillard since the birth of his son.
Yep.
That's brought
good point.
That's brought perspective to his life.
Yep.
And I think he views things a lot differently. Maybe when he came into the league, he's trying to make a name for himself because he was Rookie of the Year. He wanted to get to an All-Star game. He just wanted to be acknowledged. Now he's like, you know what? Hey, if it's not in the cards for me to win a title in Portland, well, oh well. I'm just going to go ahead and I'm going to sit here and play these cards that were dealt to me, and I'm perfectly content with that. And I think the child has brought that kind of perspective and that kind of peace to his life.
Well, the West just got a little easier for somebody, probably Golden State, but you never know.
Golden State was going to be Golden State. I get it, Skip. Right now everybody say, but you watch. Watch what happens. They'll probably lose a total in 4 rounds. They'll probably lose about 5-6 games.
Well, that's a lot. If you happen to lose all those in one series.
Stop it. Now, you know good well they're not losing no 4. You can't lose 5 or 6 in one series.
No, I'm just not completely sold on Golden State.
Hold on.
You don't just suddenly lose to Dallas by whatever it was, 30 at home.
Whoa. You mean to tell me somebody's going to be the team with the best player on the planet, the 3rd best player on the planet?
The best player on the planet appears to me not to want to be there anymore.
What they got to do? He's still the best, though, right?
Okay. Well, if your heart's not in it, then it doesn't matter.
Well, what about that ball? Is it going in the bucket?
Do you want that player on your team next year? Yes, you do.
Yeah, of course they do.
You've been campaigning for him.
All I'm saying
is you know.
They got 2 27-point scores on their roster.
All right. It just depends if you're right psychologically. You know that, and I know that. Are they right?
What are they going to do?
Because if they're not right, then they are right.
Well, who's going to beat them?
Ripe for the
Who's going to beat them? Who's going to beat them?
Any of those teams in the West could beat them. Listen.
Beat who?
You don't think they can lose a home game this year? Want to bet they're going to lose a home playoff game?
They lost one last year to go. They lost one last year to Houston and come back and take it right back from them.
If Chris Paul doesn't go down, Houston's going to the final.
With that, again, the
Okay,
basketball
well,
gods.
okay, there you go.
And LeBron would have had another title.
And last year,
and you
KD
wouldn't want
was
that.
happy.
And you wouldn't want that, would you? You wouldn't want LeBron to play Houston in the NBA Finals and win another title.
LeBron should be in the playoffs this year.
Yeah.
Man, we're not talking about that, Skip.
Well,
I'm not going to let
We
you.
all wanted that.
See, if they were in the 8th seed right now, I'd be saying, okay, well, maybe you got a shot.
He's trying
Well,
to.
if we had a Dame Lillard or C.J. McCollum, we would have a shot.
He's trying to impress the basketball gods, LeBron, though. He's not done. He said he's
Yeah.
still got to play for them and perform.
Didn't you see what he had on
them
Instagram?
happy.
He promised y'all something.
Change is
spell?
coming.
As if somebody's cast a spell on the team.
It was a little black cat walking around L.A.
Oh, boy.
LeBron gonna grab him and pay
Maybe
him
the
up.
basketball gods thought he did cheat the game.
You know what? Skip Bayless ain't over here. He didn't cheat the game. That's one thing LeBron James does not do.
No? Okay, well, we're
Cheat
going
the
to
game.
switch gears to Conor McGregor. He is back in the news. Apparently, he is done in the octagon. Last night, he tweeted